Well, yeah, my friend, what you gonna do? Oh, yep. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Fuck yeah. The social engineers trying to create an entire generation of fucking serial killers by having them tune out. They fucking get ready to start World War III with the Russians. They're getting ready to come for anybody to the political right of Chairman Mao himself. Oh yeah, I'm ready. Bring it on. Oh yeah. It's enter the end of days. I passed the test. I acquired the taste for uncooked human flesh. Oh yeah. Yeah, Book of Giants. It's real. Make no mistake. So you want to know what else is real? FBI document 6751. Yep. There's certain documents that the FBI and CIA put out there, and they think it is so outrageous nobody's gonna believe it. FBI document 6751 is where they reveal that the things that we call aliens, quote unquote, aliens, they're actually beings from another dimension. That's what they are. They don't come from other planets. They come from another dimension, and they're demonic as fuck. Yeah, the dude known as Aleister Crowley, he wrote books about occult bullshit. And he's one of these like real famous occult people, Aleister Crowley. Anybody who's studied any of this shit knows who this fucker is. But when Aleister Crowley was deeply involved in his occult bullshit, like he came across a being that he came into contact with, a being called Lamb, Lam, Lamb. This being he was in contact with, and he drew a picture of this being called Lamb. And you can look this up. The being that Aleister Crowley contacted, Lamb, and it looks just like a fucking gray, a goddamn alien gray with a big old head and big old eyes and shit. Yeah, these aliens, they're beings from another dimension. Yeah, we've known this for a while. Yeah, it's all connected, is what it is. Yeah, these fucking things are demonic as fuck. Yeah, there's a certain famous tale of an apartment complex in St. Louis, here in America, St. Louis, Missouri. And it happened in the year 1987. Now, what happened was people were mysteriously dying at this apartment complex. And one of the people that died at this apartment complex, they did an autopsy on him, and his fucking organs were liquefied. Fucking liquefied organs. This dude is found dead in his house. And people were just reporting headaches, nausea. They would just get sick, and they had to clear everybody out of the building. And they sent all sorts of chemical weapons experts in there to test the place for chemicals, see if there was a chemical leak. They put people in there to test for mold and shit like that to see if it was something that people were breathing in. And for the life of them, they couldn't figure out what the fuck was fucking all of these people up. So eventually, what they did was they decided to, you know, go outside of their wheelhouse and contact a priest and send a priest in there because they thought this might be some paranormal shit. They thought that the devil might have fucking taken over this whole building and was fucking making anybody sick that would get inside of it, fucking them up. Anyway, when the priest went in there, he started doing his thing, trying to bless the building and all that. But the priest, he started to get all fucked up too. And the priest, he said he started to question his faith in God, and he started to lose his faith in God. And he felt it was the most demonic, evil thing he had ever been and like he couldn't fucking defeat this evil that was in this building, so he had to get out. Now, let me preface this next part of the story by telling you the tale of a certain scientist. I won't tell you his name, but this scientist had attempted to develop an android that could murder humans, a war robot that they can use in war, a battle android. And he had an entire lab set up, and he had lab assistants, and they were helping him build this battle android, quote unquote. It was going to be the next wave of warfare, and he was going to make lots of money, millions on it, billions possibly. Now, throughout the course of trying to build this battle android, this fucking weapon of war, like everybody in the lab started to get real sick, and they couldn't work. And slowly, one by one, they started dropping off on the project. And he couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And then finally, he realized what was going on. There was a certain fan that was blowing in the fucking laboratory, like a ceiling fan, and it was loose a little bit. And what was happening was this fan was emitting a frequency. And what was going on was the frequency that this fan was emitting was making everybody sick. And he figured out what the frequency of this fan was, and the frequency was 7. And what happened was instead of going forward with this research to figure out a battle android, a war robot, he decided to research these weaponized sound frequencies. And he realized that the frequency that the human body operates it at is the same. It's 7 hertz. Anyway, yeah, they did figure out a way to weaponize these sound frequencies, and it could basically make you go crazy, fucking liquefy your organs or whatever. Anyway, through much research, there was a detective that was assigned to this case at this fucking apartment complex that was trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. And then he finally figured out that it was a fucking sound frequency that was fucking people up. And they tried to figure out where this sound frequency was coming from within the apartment complex. And they eventually narrowed the sound frequency down to a certain AC unit that was within the building that had been installed by someone. And they tried to figure out who had installed this AC unit, because it was purposefully done this way. Now, what happened was they figured out the name of the company that went in there and installed this AC unit. It was called Prince of the Power. That was the name of this company. It was called Prince of the Power. Anyway, the detective started doing some research, and he realized that this company called Prince of the Power, this was a company that didn't exist. It was nowhere to be found. Anyway, you look at the word Prince of the Power, it actually goes back to a Bible verse, and it refers to Lucifer, is what it is. Now, what happened was there's some sort of group of Luciferians that went up there in that apartment complex and swapped out that fucking AC unit with a death machine that basically weaponized that entire fucking apartment complex. Think about that for a second. Yeah, these people, there's nothing beyond these people. Then you learn about a thing called Havana syndrome. Look that up. We weaponized these fucking LRAD frequencies against our own people, against in our fucking embassy in Havana. Look it up. Havana syndrome. It was the same fucking shit that happened at this apartment complex. All sorts of people at the goddamn embassy in Havana, Cuba, started getting sick, started having these headaches, just nausea. They couldn't stand to be in the building. Yeah, it turns out that our own government was testing LRAD weaponry against them. Yeah, it turns out if ever, well, the Canadian people know about this shit. Trudeau unleashed this shit upon his own people. LRAD weaponry, low frequency fucking sound weapons. Yeah, if they truly want to, they can unleash this type of shit upon a crowd of people and completely liquefy everybody's fucking organs if they truly wanted to. But yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Luciferians, the death cult, they worship death. Leftists. Leftists and Luciferians. It's the same fucking thing. Once you understand that and realize that, and everything, I mean, everything about what these people do make perfect fucking sense. There's no room for anybody right of center in the liberal world order. They've been working to build this thing since the 1700s. It's about coming to a head. The closest thing they'll come to naming themselves outright is a thing called the WEF, the World Economic Forum. But even that's basically just a lightning rod to attract all the attention, because the true names of these people, you will never ever know their real names. Much like how it was at Jekyll Island. A lot of people don't get it, understand it. Like, what do you think, Big Daddy? Like, all of these rich, powerful people come together and meet in secret and plan and plot world domination and how they're going to take over people's lives and take over nations and take over monetary systems. You really think that people get together and do this? Yes, they do. Fuck. If you haven't figured that out yet, then I simply don't know what to fucking say for you. All you gotta do is look at the nature of what's going on today. Yeah, I hear they're gonna run out of diesel fuel here soon, here in America. You hear about that one? We'll see what happens with that. All of these liberals are just gonna say, oh, why don't you just go get an electric car, bigot? Yeah, if you deprive a nation of its diesel fuel, you basically bring that nation to a fucking standstill. Kill that nation's economy, basically. Because in order to get goods from one place to another, you need trucks to drive it, and those trucks run on diesel fuel. Like, what are you gonna do if you can't drive food around? Like I'm telling you, before that diesel fuel before it happens, you need to get stocked up on food, because the food price is going to skyrocket through the roof. A few weeks, unless it's handled, and that diesel runs out, price of fucking not just food but everything's going to skyrocket. Yeah, Big Daddy's ready. I'm prepped. I'm sitting on fucking a bunch of beans, rice, lentils, all sorts of good shit like that I can make up in stews. And not to mention all of the good heirloom seeds I've got that I grow in my gardens. Yeah, I'm ready. Men like me survive come the end of days. What about you? It may be coming sooner than you think. You never know. The rich keep getting richer. The poor keep getting poorer. Yep. What can you do? Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. That's all you can do. Oh, we got Jack Stafford in the house. What up? Yikes. Yeah, the Troon serial killer connection. Look it up. Charles Manson, his mother dressed him up as a little girl. Ed Gein. It's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm just wondering if these social engineers are trying to create an entire generation of serial killers. They are a death cult, after all. Yeah, the ancient Israelites always had a problem with Baal worship. That's for sure. The pagan god Baal. Ever since the time of Jesus, when King Herod switched out on their coins, the 7 candles that symbolize God enlightenment to mankind, switch out those coins with the Baal coins. Yeah. Anybody who knows the pagan god Baal knows that god is all about child sacrifice. That's what it's about. Yep. And just look at the money that we have nowadays. All of the pagan fucking occult symbolism all over it. that eye, that pyramid, all that fucking shit. I'm just wondering if before the creation of the Federal Reserve, like what the money used to look like in America. Was it always like filled with occult looking symbols, I wonder? I could probably look that up real easily, but I just wonder. Yep. Run out of diesel fuel soon. At some point, we may be looking at a future where it's like Mad Max meets Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Yeah, the only question is, you ready for that shit? Big Daddy ready? Oh yeah, I'm ready for that shit. Men like me survive come the end of days. Hold on, I gotta go take a leak real quick. I'll be right back. Couple minutes. Couple minutes, I'll be back. Take a break. Oh yeah. All right, where we gonna take the show now? Where we gonna take it now? Yep. Maybe we'll segue a little paranormal talk. So we were on a little bit of a paranormal talk. We'll continue down that line. Yeah, we talked giants, bankers, weaponized sound. Let's talk a little ghosts now. Little ghosts. Yeah, I had planned to do a Halloween special where I had like a whole like spooky story type thing laid out, but I'm a little too burnt out. I think actually early November might be, what is it, Dia de los Muertos? There's some sort of day in early November. It's like a Mexican holiday, Day of the Dead. Maybe we'll do it in honor of the Day of the Dead. But yeah, I'll tell my little ghost story. I got a few of them. But here's a time I actually lived in a haunted house for a while. This was a haunted house, like all of my siblings actually, and my parents too. Like everybody living in that house had some sort of experience. And one of the most scariest experiences I had was actually it was kind of a case of sleep paralysis of sorts. Like I was laying on my side on the bunk bed. I was on the top bunk. I was a kid, and I was looking towards the wall. All of a sudden, way towards the far end of the wall, I hear it sounded like knocking. What it sounded like was somebody on the other side of the wall, on the other side of the house, on the outside, taking a hammer and hammering on the outside of the house 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. And then it slowly went down the length of the wall. Boom, boom, boom. 3 knocks. Boom, boom, boom. And the whole time I couldn't move. And like I'm in my room and it's the dead of night, supposedly dark, but the room is a light. I can see that behind me there's some sort of a light going on, but it's not the light that you would flick from the whatever. It's like the light that would be put off from a fire, as if there's a fire in the room. If you can understand that, because I could see the illumination on the wall. And but I'm in sleep paralysis mode. I can't fucking move. All I can hear is this knocking. 3 knocks. Dong, dong, dong. And it's moving down the corridor of the wall all the way up until it passes me. And then it passes the other side of me on the other side of the wall, because I'm at the corner of the fucking room. And the whole time I can't move. And there's this fucking light, and I think it's just like a fire. That's what it is. But I don't smell smoke or nothing, and I can't move, and I'm just like, I couldn't understand it. Like what I thought was the neighbor was on the other side of the house, like with a hammer pounding on the fucking on the house, but I couldn't understand why I couldn't move and like where the light was, and like I wanted to turn around and see, but at the same time I was scared of what I might see if I did turn around. So what I tried to do was force myself back to sleep. And I eventually did force myself back to sleep. But every one of my siblings all had stories of various encounters in that house. And that house that we lived at, it was on a piece of land in which right next to the house, there was a massive wall built, and there was a chimney there. And there was obviously a house there at some point, like an ancient like cabin or something, in which the entire side of the wall was built of stone, and there was a fucking chimney there. So what I'm thinking is that like there was an old fucking homestead or house or something there a long time ago. Maybe it burnt down. I don't know. But yeah, everybody that lived at that fucking house had some sort of a weird encounter. Now, it could have been spirits. It could have been ghosts. I had heard after doing some research, the 3 knocks thing is actually a real thing, like amongst various paranormal hauntings and shit. And what it is, it's the demons. They're trying to mock the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's what the 3 knocks is about. And like I didn't like learn that till later, till doing a lot of research. And I'm wondering, maybe it was some sort of demonic activity or some sort of ghosts or something like that. But not all ghosts are ghosts, so to speak. A lot of the times it might actually be some sort of something from your own fucking imagination, conjured by your own consciousness, can actually create something, some sort of an entity. Like anybody familiar with like Tibet, like Tibetan monks and shit like that, and like knows about things called tulpas and egregores. These are Tibetan terms, and what it is just imagine if you were capable of like conjuring a being in your mind, like an imaginary friend as a child, and actually have that being manifest itself into reality. That's what a tulpa is. It's when an individual is actually capable of willing a being into reality by sheer will alone with their imagination. And I guess the real high level of Tibetan monks are capable of doing this type of shit. But that's when one person is capable of doing it. They can create a tulpa. But if you get a bunch of people together and concentrating on the same type of thing, they can actually do the same thing, but on a much higher level. That's what's called an egregore. Is where you get a bunch of people concentrating on the same entity, quote unquote, and they can create an entity. One of the more popular forms of egregores you can cite nowadays is the thing called Slender Man. Like the Slender Man was a thing that never existed. it's an internet phenomenon. It was basically created on the internet. Now, a lot of people think by simple virtue of having enough people think about this thing and thinking about it, you might actually will it into existence. And there is a case of a couple of girls who actually lured one of their friends out to the forest and tried to murder her, stab her to death. And they said that the Slender Man told them to do it or whatever. They might have just used this as an excuse, but this is just an example of what an egregore can do. Just imagine each person taking a thought form about a certain something, and then taking that thought form and having it be like a pebble. Then you go place that pebble on the ground. And the next thing you know, each person has their own pebble, their own thought form about what that thing is, and they go place it on the ground. And next thing you know, you have a mountain where those pebbles used to be, a fucking mountain. And then that thing actually takes on a life form of its own and actually becomes reality because you have enough people thinking about it and thinking it's real. And that's the power of the human mind. The human mind is so powerful that we can actually create fucking thought forms and manifest them into reality. Yeah, a lot of people, whenever they have these spiritual visions about the being known as Jesus Christ, Jesus, he's always seen as a white man. He's always seen as the way Jesus looks in all of the paintings and all the depictions, the Christian murals of this white guy with a beard or whatever. A lot of people don't know it or understand it, and will probably fucking think I'm full of shit when I say this. But it's deep within the deepest bowels of the fucking Vatican. Like, they have all sorts of like hidden shit that you will never see the light of day. And inside the deepest, darkest bowels of the Vatican, they have a true picture of what the real Jesus Christ looked like. And guess what? He's not a white guy that looks like everybody thinks. Jesus was actually black, believe it or not. Yes, Jesus was black. But you're never going to know this or understand this. But in the Christian mythos, everybody thinks Jesus is this white guy, so lily white skin with a beard. And whenever they see visions of him and spiritual visions, he's that way. I guess a lot of people can make the argument that the character known as Jesus, he is actually an egregore. He's actually a thought form that people have created. You get enough people thinking about it and creating it, then you actually fucking create that shit for real. And a lot of people don't know it or understand it, but the human mind is so powerful. Not only can you create these singular beings, but you can create entire realities. You get enough people thinking that a reality like heaven is real and hell is real, you can actually create realms in the fourth dimension, and you'll actually go there when you die. If you think heaven is real and if you think hell is real, when you die, you'll go to those places. Like, that's the power of the human mind to create an egregore. Like, once you understand these concepts, you can look them up. Tulpas and egregores. Tulpa, Tulpa, egregore, egregore, egregore. Yeah, these are Tibetan terms. Yeah, a lot of people that have done a lot of research into this shit realize, the concept of heaven and hell are egregores, and what you really do when you die is you go to the fourth dimension, where you have a meeting with what's called it's you go to the what do you call it? It's not heaven, the realm of the higher self. I guess that's what you can call it. Because you got to understand, a lot of us have lived like thousands of lifetimes on this planet as a human. And do you think that that energy is just all of a sudden just goes away and just disappears? Like, no, that energy that you were in that previous life lives on in the fourth dimension. And what happens is, after you die, you go back and you meet all the past versions of yourself. You kind of have a little meeting, and you go to the realm of the higher self, and you kind of have like a little powwow with all of these past versions of yourself, and you kind of figure out what you're going to do in the next lifetime. And then you just kind of like will yourself back into the third dimension, and you transpose back to the other side, and you're reborn. And what they've done is they've crafted the whole concept of being a human. It's such an enticing concept that a lot of times you'll come back as a human, and we've done it thousands of times. when you don't have to come back as a human. You can come back as a different being if you truly want to. And what they've done is they've turned the earth into a prison of sorts, where we're always reincarnating as humans again. What they're doing is they're actually harvesting our spiritual energies. The earth is crafted a certain way to harvest our negative spiritual energies, because that's the thing they like the most. These beings, these quote unquote, you know, well, look back to the Book of Giants, the beings that came here and manipulated the DNA of the humans and created the giants. It's all about the ones who created the giants. Who are they? The bigger question is, who do they serve? Who created them? That's the question. Because once you understand the true nature of creation of the universe, think of it the way a Russian nesting doll is. Those dolls, you open up one doll, there's another doll inside, and there's another doll inside of that one. Like, there was originally a progenitor race that created another, and then the race created another, and so on and so forth. Like that's basically what we are. And then we've created our own little races of people. Like anybody who's you know, anybody knows, we've created pigmen. Like Alex Jones, he got ridiculed for this when he dropped the news story about the Chinese creating the pigmen. But the Chinese are actually creating pigmen, little chimerified pigmen. The same type of shit that they spoke of in the Book of Giants. When they came down and they crossed the DNA of man with all of the different beasts and created these various chimeras, and the entire earth was polluted with these abominations. Yeah, the Chinese, they've crossed the DNA of pigs and humans. And they've created these little pigmen. You could look this up. Now, what happens if we have some sort of a massive apocalyptic event, and instead of a flood, they decide to use fire, like a massive solar flare, and they just wipe the fucking slate clean? Humanity dies off. But somehow, some way, in some laboratory deep underground, the pigman survives. The pigman that the Chinese created. These little pigmen eventually make it their way up to the surface area, and they come out and they look at the earth. And these little pigmen realize, oh my God, there exists something far, far beyond our little underground base or whatever that we were born in. And these pigmen slowly start to walk upon the earth and cultivate it and build little cities. And then the pigmen become like the dominant fucking superpower on planet Earth. And they look back on the ruins of the olden times before the fires came. And they try to figure out where they came from. And they have these various legends of these giant beings that created them or whatever, when it turns out it was just us humans. But us humans were created by other beings too, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it gets to the point where these pigmen, they start crossing their own DNA. And what they do is they take mice and they cross their DNA with mice and create these little pig mice men. And then all of a sudden the pigmen go to war with each other. And the pigmen unleash some sort of massive apocalypse. And the pigmen kill all of themselves off, and fucking they decide to unleash a massive flood, and then they kill the rest of the pigmen. But somewhere, deep in an underground base, those little mice pigmen that were created by the pigmen survive. Then they rise up and they fucking create a new race. And you see what I'm trying to go with this? Then all of a sudden the little mice men, they try to figure out where they came from, and they realize they might have came from these giants that looked like pigs or whatever. But where did the pigmen come from? Well, the pigmen came from us humans. And where did us humans come from? And so on and so forth. You know, like I said, it's like a Russian nesting doll. Once you understand the nature of creation. Yeah, but our ultimate goal is to ascend as a being, to where we don't have to come to the third dimension and learn life lessons anymore. And we ascend from the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension, where we become like pure energy or whatever. Supposedly that's how it goes. Yeah, that might be the whole purpose why the Chinese are trying to like genetically engineer those pigmen, so they can like put them to fucking slave labor in their factories. Like they need the Uyghurs and all those other people for their human organs so they can harvest them and sell them on the black market. We're gonna outsource the work of the iPhone to the pigmen. That's what we'll do. You got to give the credit to those Chinese people. They know what the fuck they're doing. They're good businessmen. Yeah, anybody who hasn't figured it out yet, China, they're the ones who are going to be the dominant superpower, because America, well, we've dropped the ball. unless men step up and put the kibosh on feminism and start becoming more masculine. Because the true epidemic of this fucking world, this planet Earth, is we don't have enough men left. There's not enough real men. Because if there were real men around, we would not be in the fucking state that we're in. Yeah, men being weak and submissive to their women. This is what fucked everything up. Past couple of years when this coof nonsense happened, what happened? All of the women got all scared. Oh my god, the coof! I'm so scared. They hunkered down and hid or whatever. And the men, they're so submissive and weak and do whatever the fuck their women want and just kind of go along with their bitches. And they just kind of went along with it too. Next thing you know, boom, you're gonna be eating the bugs soon. Eating those fucking bugs. What can you do? Whisper words of wisdom and let it be. Right. All right.